Good morning, Mr. Doherty. Today is August 17, 2026, and I'd like to ask you some questions about your life, uh, your life story, if you will. Um, so I have some questions that were generated for me, and well, we can always deviate from them as you see fit. And yeah, so how do you feel about making this interview, Mr. Doherty?
Say again?
How do you feel about this interview?
The interview. Oh yeah, it's interesting, and I actually had thought something comparable. Brought it up to him a couple of years ago. Wherein, if we, the Doherty family, had a do, San Francisco street talk, the something less than a pachanga, a birthday party, an event, 4th of July, we had a professional photographer on site taking pictures. You know, nobody's posed, nobody's standing there looking at the camera,
Yeah.
and just cruising through the household and snapping away video, and then record that. You know, but now this is better, all on one tape, all on one. Well, several different venues as we anticipate. But yeah, I think it's a great idea, and Anna and Jenny Emmett ought to go through the same thing, and I might even interview some of them for that matter.
Yeah.
So anyway, you were wanting to proceed here with some of my life story,
Yeah. Well,
and
yeah.
we got probably going to rack up half of it in the time we got, possibly.
Yeah.
I claim not to be a long-winded orator. There are those that disagree, but I can get succinct right to the question and address it promptly.
Yes, sir. Okay. Well, let's start. Let's get on it then. Um, what's your very first memory? The earliest thing you can picture from childhood.
Oh boy, let's see. I would say maybe at the age of 3. I think 3, beyond, prior to, the memories erased, possibly for the better of it. But yeah, maybe around 3 years of age, living with then my parents, who I couldn't associate any relationship between me and them to each other. But it was a family of some sort. We had at least, now, as far as siblings, my sister Arlene, and then came Emmett. I had a half brother, Jack. So those, not mine, only me and the parents. But I think maybe Arlene was at or about 3 years. Yeah, she would have had to have been. If I was 3, Arlene was around 1.5, 2. And Emmett, perhaps in transit, but not yet arrived. And my brother Jack was 7 years older than I was. When I was 3, he was 10. That's it, kind of limited. No sitting down to dinner. I don't remember anything much about it. My father didn't have a car, but I verily sensed that we were not very prosperous.
Yeah. Emmett. How old was Emmett?
Emmett, Emmett was not born, I'm thinking, when I
Oh,
was
okay,
3, or
okay.
if he was 1 year old, 6 months, 1 year old.
Okay. And Jack was 7.
Yeah, Jack was 7.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm a half brother.
Jack was your half brother.
Half brother.
Yeah. How'd you feel about Jack? Was he
Well,
a
my
good
mother
brother?
had Jack in 1927
Yeah.
through a amorous relationship with what I sensed to be, based on what little bit I could in terms of checking things out, but he might have been a seaman. And they had a real amorous relationship, and Brother Jack was born to that relationship. And when my father married my mother, Jack was all of 7, and I was at least 4, 5, 6 months old,
Yeah.
not yet having been born.
Oh, wow.
So I came quite a bit earlier than anticipated.
Yeah.
My mother was pregnant at the time of not marriage, because I've never found a marriage certificate. So she didn't marry that first gentleman, the seaman,
Yeah.
merchant seaman. And I don't think they ever married, my father and my mother. They just kind of set up camp, so to speak, and
Yeah.
lived together.
Yeah. So that was your. So your mother had a Jack, and then your mother got together with your father, and then right away you were
I
born.
was born, yeah,
9 months.
3 January
Yeah.
34.
Yeah.
So she was about 6 months pregnant, I think. Got her about
Yeah. You said 34 or 40?
1934.
34.
All right, my sister in 34 would have been 3. Then Emmett back down. 34, Emmett could have been as young as, let's see, 34. Well, no, I'm 34. Emmett
Yeah.
hadn't arrived. I had been born in 34, jumping ahead and
Yeah.
putting
Emmett was
years
probably
ahead of their
37
position.
or something.
So I was the 1934 first birth between my father Emmett and my mother Irene.
Okay. Your father was. And what memories do you have of Emmett, your father Emmett, and Irene?
Emmett would be my dad, described as a ne'er-do-well, more so later in life by my research as to his job history. He moved around quite a bit, changed jobs. My Aunt Esther best described my father as being suffering from something like, I don't know, anxiety, something. Kids suffer from, you pop them a pill, it's supposed to do them some good.
Oh.
So my dad had something about that with him because he couldn't concentrate, couldn't keep a job. 7th grade education, a ne'er-do-well, God love him.
Yeah. How were they? Were they nurturing parents? Were they loving?
No, in terms of intercourse between the two, no memory. I know 1 or 2 arguments that I got involved in. One is that was my sister in her mom's arms. My mom and my dad, he had a car, but it was borrowed. No way did he ever own a car. They had a altercation on the highway. He got really upset. I'm sure she's on him for not working, and when was he going to go to work and bring some coin to the house for bread and milk. He let us off on Great Highway there on the beach.
Jesus.
Yep, I remember getting the thing. I remember my mother with a baby in arms. And beyond that, I don't know who picked us up, but we ended up back at the house.
Yeah.
Yeah, we ended up back at the house. My dad was there ironing on the ironing board.
Oh my God.
Whether they had anything to say to each other, I don't know. And of course, I put that back to the recesses of my memory, not wishing to think about it too overly much. But
Yeah.
that's a vague, way back memory, one of the very first I could collect.
And what was home like? You mentioned your mother. You guys somehow ended up back at home, but what was home like? What, do you have an apartment, a house?
Houses, rental houses, of course, and
Yeah.
maybe many as 5. I've encountered 1 or 2 I didn't know existed, and I probably lived in 1 or 2. So,
Where at?
well, various parts of San Francisco. They lean toward Ocean Beach and also towards Bernal Heights. Ocean Beach because there, my dad's mother and father lived in Ocean Beach. He kind of hung around there. There was one little residence on the Farallona Street, which I don't remember, but there I must have lived for a period. Now it's a house, not a house, it was actually a little chapel for some Protestant sect, use it on Sunday,
Weddings.
I guess.
Oh, okay.
And the one on San Jose Avenue, that one I remember with the stair steps. To the back was a railroad track. Southern Pacific ran their cars, passengers, down the peninsula and brought back during the day the commuters
Yeah.
to the 3rd and Townsend Railroad, Southern Pacific station. We could see the trains from our backyard, and we would jump the tracks and cross over, back and forth. But of course, the train was half a mile away, and it was stopped. But the light was there. You could see the light, and we thought it, high adventure, crossing the railroad tracks. In front of the train was stopped, and we knew it was stopped. And we sensed when it would get underway, and then, of course, we backed off.
Yeah.
That was the extent of the adventure. Me with my brother Jack pulling me back and forth. Yeah, early. That would be an early one. San Jose Avenue, yeah.
Yeah. Was Jack born then? Was Jack around? I mean, Emmett. Was Emmett around?
No, Emmett. See, I have no memory of Emmett and no
No.
memory of Arlene.
Yeah.
Arlene, having been struck with being
Blindness.
blind at the age of 2, she could have spent more time at the California School for the Blind because of her handicap, and perhaps was spending even less time then, but she was a baby in any case. I don't know what they could do with a baby. Probably just at some early foster home on her part.
Yeah.
Well, I don't remember. I can't collect back on that. Somehow I don't remember my sister much during those early formative years between 1934 and 1938. So they were around, but I have very little memory of them.
Yeah.
ETA 1 o'clock. ETA 1 o'clock.
And did you?
So
you
that
were.
brings you up to about 1938. Prior to, did you have anything much earlier than that, which would be very difficult for me to bring up?
No. So from 38, I mean, from 34, you were born January 3rd, 1934, till around 1938. Is that well? Let's go back to something else. Do you in those 4 years? Do you remember having any meals, any routines? Your mother walking you to school, your father taking you to the park, or?
No, very little social life, I'm sure. No means to do it, no will.
Yeah.
Perhaps no sense of going to the park would be the nice thing to do.
Yeah.
So really not too many fond memories, because it wasn't a very happy household based on my father's inability to find a job.
Did you make friends? Other little kids in your
No friends. My older brother Jack would be my only friend, and no kids up and down the street.
Yeah.
I was in 1938. It ended any direct relationship with my parents.
Yeah. Is there any a smell or a song? You know, like for me, a certain smell that brings back memories. It puts me in a place like, you know, either a good place or a bad place, but it brings back memories. Is there a smell or a song or a moment that just brings you back to those times, those 4 years?
It would be interesting to capture such an event, but not really can I associate much in those early years.
Yeah.
Beyond 1938, just not a happy household.
Yeah.
So nothing I can sense about bringing back any pleasant memories, or hardly any memories at all. Just
Do you
probably not.
What do you remember about when things changed for you and your brother? How did you end up in the foster home?
In the foster home?
Yes.
Well,
in
the city of San Francisco, city and county of San Francisco, child welfare, they came to the house. This was the house. I remember this house. I could almost tell you the address would have been like 65 Winfield Street, Winfield. Chauffeur in a van type unit, little minibus, and 2 matrons came to the door and introduced themselves as child welfare. And of course, my mom must have known they were coming, obviously, but they had been complaints from the neighbors that we were, probably, I don't know, the neighbors knew we were in bad shape.
Yeah.
They just picked us up, but see, here again, they had to get all of us, all 4 of us.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Because I remember my brother Jack was with us. And we went down to the child welfare, San Francisco, kind of like off Van Ness Avenue there. And I then sort of lost track of my siblings, including Jack, because my memory then was only of myself there. And first thing was a hot bath in a big bathtub, and then getting outfitted with white linen type pajamas, bottom and top, And then beyond that, how much time I spent there and how much time my siblings were there, I'm not sure. But you could stay as a ward of the juvenile court for up until the age of 18. And the city of San Francisco made us, I'm sure my brother and sister also, wards of the juvenile court, taking them away from our parents, who would have been the rightful parentage to raise us as children, normal kids, but we were not normal. The household was not normal.
Yeah.
So yeah, that lasted for some period of time. I don't remember how long it was, but I remember what I think. Yeah, I think one foster home must have taken us on board.
All three of y'all? I mean, all four of y'all? All four of y'all?
No, just me. That's when we split up, because probably the difficulty is finding one foster home to take all four of us. You know. So they parceled us out, and I ended up with a lady in Novato, California, just across the bay, San Francisco, the other side, Marin County.
Yeah.
What was her name? A nice little house and all, but I guess I didn't stay very long. And then I went to another foster home, Mrs. Carroll, and my brother Jack was there. Now, Emmett, I don't know to have been there, but I do know brother Jack was at Carroll, with Mrs. Carroll. She was a very strict Irish lady, married with children of her own. And, and Arlene was there too. That's right, Arlene, because Arlene, I was more or less her mentor, taking care of her, even as young as I was. She was 1 year younger. And we both had bedwetting problems. Yeah. I think Jack knew, but Arlene and I did. We caught a lot of flack from Mrs. Carroll for wetting beds. That was a serious thing. You know, it could ruin a mattress.
Yeah.
A mattress costs you some money, and it was though they thought we were just too lazy to get up, and that wasn't the case. I could sleep right through it. Never even knew I was wet until the next day, and to my embarrassment, and because knowing too I was going to get punished. So I couldn't figure it all out why it was all happening. But my bed was a refuge, you know, getting away and getting under the covers completely,
Sleeping.
get away from
Dreaming.
the disciplines.
Yeah.
So that was Mrs. Carroll. She could have been number 2 for me. And then we went, let's see, not all of us, but Emmett and I went to, by then Arlene was probably at the school for the blind. Emmett and I, and maybe Jack, 3 of us now, went to Mrs. Cook. Is that right? Yeah, I think Mrs. Cook. And she was nice enough to take us all in.
Yeah.
She lived at 132 Winfield Street as well.
Oh, wow.
Down the block from where
Down the
we
block.
were living, just by chance. Mrs. Cook was nice. She had a husband. He played a lot of baseball, but he worked as a mechanic down on Van Ness Avenue. We'd go to the park at night where he was playing an industrial ball. I think he was a catcher, if I'm not mistaken. I rather got interested in baseball at that time, probably Jack. Emmett might have stayed at home with Mrs. Carroll, probably didn't venture out too late at night. And we have early pictures of Emmett with a burro. Now this is city. The burro came from a peddler who came up and down the street. Mexican burro would get your picture taken alongside his animal, his
Donkey.
burro.
Yeah.
And Emmett has several pictures of just that scene there on Winfield Street. So, he had a little old Mexican sombrero on. Some of the pictures still exist. I'd have to go to find them. Been some time since I've last seen them.
Yeah.
That was Mrs. Carroll. We were there maybe a year or 2. Then Mrs. Vile came up next, and Emmett went elsewhere. I don't know where Emmett went. He did. Oh, but Arlene, that's where I found my sister. Mrs. Vile, V-I-A-L, lived in San Bruno, south of San Francisco, about 25, 30 miles. And she had Arlene already there. Arlene knew her to be her mother.
Really?
So I was brought aboard.
Yeah.
But that wasn't long. That didn't seem like it was more than a summer month.
Where did Jack didn't come with you? Or Emmett?
Huh?
Jack or Emmett didn't go with you? To
Mrs. Vile, no. Jack, no. Emmett, no.
Did Jack
Well,
or
Jack, maybe Jack was there. Come to think of it, I believe he might have been.
do you think Emmett stayed with Miss Cook?
Emmett went elsewhere. I don't know where Emmett went. He was in the foster system just like Jack and I were,
Yeah.
and Arlene. Mrs. Vile was a foster mother, and I think not very soon thereafter, or even before, we came under still wards of the juvenile court, but under the Catholic foster home system. The church took us on board and provided for our well-being, room and board, a place to live, a foster parent to take care of us, all our outfits we were provided for, and they provided the foster mother with some
Money.
modicum of money. I don't know how much, could have been much, but not sure. In fact, I didn't find that out until years later. So it wasn't altogether charity, but good measure of it was charity. And then a small stipend from the Catholic Church every month to care for each and every one of us. So then that was Mrs. Vile. I loved it there, but she, of all things, I guess she was this widow lady and she was going to get married. It surprised me that old people could get married.
Yeah.
And so I left Mrs. Vile, and then
Did Arlene stay there?
uh,
Did Arlene stay with Miss Bell?
a what?
Did Arlene stay?
Yeah, Arlene. No. By God, Arlene came, and Emmett came. Okay, now we're three together. Jack, he was gone, up and about. Wherever Jack went, I don't know. I lost track of him for a couple of years. He ultimately ended up working on the waterfront in San Francisco, very early age, 17. So he didn't get too much foster home after Miss Vile. Where he went, I'm not quite sure. But Emmett and I and Arlene all were taken in by Mrs. Rose Smith, Irish lady who was a widow. Her husband, Charles, lost everything during the Depression of 1929, and which included a hotel which he had mortgaged but was doing quite well, down in the Tenderloin of San Francisco. And he died, I don't know, as a result of the Depression, loss of his hotel. I'm not knowing, but anyway, she was a widow lady, and a little portly, not much, but portly, heavy-boned lady, I would call her, from County Cavan, Ireland. She let us know about that, and she was a very strict disciplinarian. She, on her own behalf, with her husband, prior to his demise, she had Charles, Brendan, Emmett and John, those are 4, and Rosemary 5. And they were all living there at the time. It's probably getting into the 40s now. So the war was very much World War II upon us. It wasn't long before some of the older boys who were actually foster kids, but they're like 17, 18, and the Logan boys, principally the Logans, Leonard and Jack Logan, Bill Logan, 3 Logan boys. The 2 older boys were sucked up into World War II and disappeared. But we as kids then, my sister went to the School for the Blind in Berkeley, came home to Mrs. Smith on certain holidays, and then we'd take up with her and play in the street. We were all going to school. I'm not sure about Emmett, how soon after I started. Elementary school, St. Paul's on 30th and Church Streets in San Francisco, grades 1 through 4. Elementary, 1 through 4. And that was where I learned to read, see, spot, run, spot. And that was a little reader. I'd give $1,000 for one right now, just to have it, because that's where I learned to read. And we were educated by the nuns. They did a great job, too. I have to commend them for that, because they didn't tolerate, like Mrs. Smith, any mischief on the campus. Mrs. Smith, no mischief at the homestead. That was out. and she imposed the law. Spare the rod, she say, and spoil the child. The rod.
Was
And she
Miss
knew how to use it. The
Miss
switch from the
Biles?
peach tree would do for about a month before it flayed. It was reduced to fiber. So, but she was pretty rough. But, she did what she had to do. We sat down there at the table before the boys left for the military, 11 of us, and she did the cooking. I sometimes peeled potatoes. We had our chores. We absolutely had our chores. So that 4 years was at St. Paul's, communion, first communion. My father was alive. He would come visit every now and then. He soon left. He died shortly thereafter. Mrs. Smith took us on board, yeah. So went through another 4 years with Mrs. Smith, now a total 8, finished elementary school at St. Philip's. We moved with Mrs. Smith, the Mission District. She lived at 3919 22nd Street in the city, San Francisco, up on top of a hill, mighty hill. And you could look from there down upon the city. It was that high up above sea level. So moving out of there, that would be what the Irish community called shantytown Irish. Those Irish who immigrated from the old country, who had a job but not much more, and ragged clothes for the most part, and just poor kids running the streets. That was what we had, but Mrs. Smith didn't let us run too far and too wide. But then moving out of shantytown San Francisco, the Mission District, we moved over to 10th Avenue. That was in the Sunset. So now we were lace curtain Irish. Lace curtain, meaning we had lace curtains. And the boys were over in the war. Charles and Emmett, her sons, and lots of Emmets in the Irish community.
Yeah.
And then Charles went in the Navy. He was the signal man with flags. They communicate ship to ship. They had radio silence. Japanese would be monitoring the radios. And Bill went to Germany. He fought in the Battle of the Bulge and brought some souvenirs back from Germany, one of which was a sword, beautiful. I wonder who owns it today. Woohoo, that'd be beautiful. Had a swastika on it. And he brought back a German Luger. And when he came back from the war, he went to the police department, and he had his German Luger there showing it, and he kept it in his locker. And would you believe a policeman, probably stole it. We never saw the German Luger again. But that was Bill. That was the Logan group. And that was ending up in 8th grade, San Francisco. Speaking for myself now, my sister at Berkeley, Emmett, was my brother Emmett in school. I can't remember him in St. Paul's. Must have been St. Philip's, though. Yeah, he was there. We left, that was grades 5, 6, 7, and 8. And that's where we ended our elementary education in the city of San Francisco on 22nd Street under the care of Mrs. Smith. And then Emmett continued on elementary, a couple of grades behind me, and I went into high school, St. James High School, down on 22nd or 23rd Street, and under the Brothers of Mary. Left the Sisters of the Virgin Mary, the BVMs. Sister Doherty comes to mind, pleasant lady. Sister Jane, who taught us music, something on the edge of classical music. William Tell overtures comes to mind. So I had a little taste for music back in and then freshman in high school, 4 years of math, history. There was no woodworking. Those brothers whipped it upon us. They had no orthodontic concerns about their needs, and neither did the nuns, for that matter, that we know of. Well, come on. Neither did the nuns. And the brothers, boy, was you're going to go to the universities, you're a freshman, you're just learning, and we're going to get you educated. When you step into the university, you're going to be ready. Sophomore, more purgatory. Oh, Lord. About this time, I was having trouble with Mrs. Smith, and I ran away about 5 times. Well, the fifth time was the last time. And that trouble ensued with an altercation Mrs. Smith that I had, and she was pummeling me, and I had closed my fist and I was fending her off, and her youngest son, John, stepped into the fray, and he witnessed what he thought to be my swinging my fists at his mother. That wouldn't do. So he come up and hit me up inside the head. It knocked me out. I was seeing stars. But early recovery. I was up and about, finally staggering, went downstairs, got my jacket, put it on, and left. Never went back to Mrs. Smith again.
That was the last time.
I went over to my mother in the neighborhood, Mrs. Terrio. And we're going to wrap this up pretty quick. Let's try for noon.
Okay, Mr.
And then Mrs. Terrio, she had Herman and Leo, 2 boys. And Mrs. Terrio had a little dress-making outfit, sewing and stuff, a very modest income, to be sure, but I could hang out there, and I was son number 3. So I spent all my time with Mrs. Terrio. We called her Mama T. And so, of course, I'd left, and I spent there a couple of few days, talked to her son,
German?
Herman. Well, let's hit the road. We're going to go to Washington, and my idea. Go to Washington State, we'll pick apples. Let's go see if we can get Jimmy Berg to go with us.
How old was Herman?
Huh?
How old was Herman?
Herman was my age.
Your age?
We were about 13.
13?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And Jimmy Berg was 13. So we all agreed, though, to go. Policeman came by, Mrs. Smith, and from Mrs. Smith, she had the police, had to advise because the Catholic Charities wanted to know who was a missing boy and the why and the where of it all.
Yeah.
So
Who was Jimmy Bird?
Mrs. Terrio.
Jimmy Bird was Mrs. Terrio?
Mrs.
Oh.
T-A-S. She was from Maine.
Oh,
She was a widow, and she lived over on 19th Avenue.
Mhm.
And she took me in as her 3rd son.
So
Well,
so it was German to Leo?
Herman and Leo were her
Leo.
sons.
Oh, and Leo's nickname was Jimmy Bird.
No, Jimmy Berg was the 3rd member of the Runaway.
Oh.
Another neighbor. I conned both of them into going. So we're going to leave it at that because we're approaching noon.
Yeah.
And I'll take you to lunch. We could wrap a little lunch about somebody. But this is quite nice. You got a good